People talk about childhood wounds. Like they fade when you grow up. They don't. They follow you like shadows. Quiet, patient, waiting for moments of silence. To remind you who hurt you first. My name is Ava. And before I built a company. Before I touched my first $1 million. Before I ever believed in myself. I was the girl nobody chose to protect. I was not born into love. I was born into a house with walls that never echoed laughter. Only footsteps and warnings. A house where doors stayed locked. Not to keep danger out. But to lock danger in with me. I used to stare at families in parks. Fathers lifting daughters. Mothers laughing at messy ice cream faces. I stood there quietly. Wondering why my life didn't look like theirs. My mother loved me once. Her love felt like warm blankets and soft hands. But life changed her. Or maybe he did. After he entered the house. The world tilted. He didn't slam doors. He slammed souls. His voice was an order. His silence was a threat. His presence was a storm in human form. The day he first hit me. I didn't cry. I just looked at my mother. Waiting for her to say something. Anything. She didn't. Silence. Just smoke curling from her lips. Like she was more worried about Ash than the girl she gave birth to. That's when I learned. Sometimes the person you expect to save you is the one who watches you fall. Breakfast was fear. Dinner was fear. Sleep? Only when exhaustion won over nightmares. I learned how to walk without making sound. How to hold pain inside bones. How to disappear in plain sight. At school, teachers asked, "Why are you so quiet?" Because loud girls get hit at home. Because laughter attracts monsters. Because innocence is a luxury I never got. I didn't dream of toys. I dreamed of safety. And the saddest part? I didn't hate them. I hated myself for believing I deserved it. Years passed. I wasn't a child anymore. But I was still not free. I paid bills at 18. Worked part-time jobs. Cooked dinner. Cleaned every corner. I wasn't a daughter. I was unpaid labor. He never called me Ava. Just hey. Or worse. Useless. Whenever I whispered dreams. He laughed. There's nothing special about you. You're lucky we let you live here. Don't try to be more than you are. Words can be weapons. And he sharpened his on me every day. Birthdays are supposed to feel magical. Mine felt like punishment. No cake. No wishes. Just bruises waiting to happen. I walked into the living room. Hoping for kindness. Even one word. Instead, I heard his laugh. Loud, cruel, drunk. My mother? She was smiling at him. Like pain was entertainment. Heard it's your birthday, he said. Voice dripping with venom. Then came the blow. Not the first. But the one that changed everything. My head hit the floor. My ears rang. Blood tasted like metal and betrayal. I looked up at my mother. Begging silently. Choose me this time. Just once. She blew smoke into the air and said. She needs to learn. Those 4 words. Cut deeper than fists ever could. That night. I didn't lose a parent. I lost the illusion that I ever had one. When the police arrived. I thought justice came. But pain isn't that kind. The officer asked. What happened? Before I could speak. He stepped forward. She attacked us. We had to defend ourselves. Lies. Sick, practiced lies. And then my mother nodded. Agreed. Supported the monster over her daughter. That's when I broke. Not loudly. Not visibly. I shattered silently. Like glass melting under fire. Survival kicked in. Not fear. Not anger. Just one voice inside. Leave. Now. I left with nothing. Barefoot. Bruised. Shaking. The night air felt cold but kinder than home. The street was empty but safer than my own family. Pain walked beside me. Hand in hand like an old friend. Tears came. But not weak tears. Tears of someone who died and was being reborn. In the same breath. I whispered into the night. You didn't break me. You just built a woman you'll never be able to control. Shelter floors. Cold benches. Thin blankets. Food that tasted like survival, not comfort. Days and nights blended. Loneliness sat beside me like a shadow that refused to leave. But here's the twisted part. For the first time in my life, I felt free. Free to cry. Free to breathe. Free to hurt, without someone enjoying it. Pain wasn't my prison anymore. It became my passport. One morning, in a shelter, I saw a woman reading a business book. That was the universe whispering. Dream. Build. Rise. I didn't know how. I didn't know when. But I knew one thing. I will never let anyone own my life again. Not family. Not fate. No one. And that is where my story truly begins. People think running away fixes everything. It doesn't. When I stepped out of that house, I wasn't just leaving a home. I was leaving the ghost of a childhood. The bruises would heal, but the memories? They followed me like shadows. I reached the city with $43 in my pocket. And a heart full of fear. But also a tiny spark of hope. I slept in a women's shelter the first night. For the first time in years. Nobody shouted at me. I didn't flinch at footsteps. Silence felt strange. But safe. Next morning, reality punched me back. I walked miles looking for work. Restaurant. Grocery store. Cleaning job. Everywhere one sentence. Do you have experience? Experience? Yeah. I knew how to dodge punches. How to stay quiet. How to survive. But they didn't hire survivors. They hired certificates. That night, as I sat on the sidewalk, crying quietly so no one noticed, a woman walked up to me. Her name was Elena. She was the owner of a cafe nearby. She didn't ask why my eyes were swollen. Or why my backpack looked like my whole life. She just said, "Can you work hard?" And with a tired voice, I whispered, "Yes. Harder than anyone." And she smiled. "You start tomorrow." Just like that. My second life began. I washed dishes. Mopped floors. Served customers. 12-hour shifts. Cold mornings. Back pain. No glam, no comfort. But every plate I cleaned. Every table I wiped. I repeated in my mind. One day, I'll build my own empire. People underestimate small beginnings. They laugh at them. They judge them. But small beginnings have one magic. They create hungry people. Hungry to win. Hungry to rise. I worked mornings at the cafe. And nights studying business on old library computers. No fancy college. Just YouTube, books. And fire in my chest. Some nights I fell asleep on the library desk. Sometimes I fainted because I forgot to eat. But pain wasn't new for me. I had lived with pain for years. This pain had purpose. One evening, while clearing tables, a customer yelled at me. "Are you stupid or just slow?" Suddenly, the cafe disappeared. And I was back in that old house. Hearing those same words. From the man who was supposed to protect me. My hand shook. I almost dropped the tray. Elena pulled me aside. "Don't let one voice pull you back to hell," she said. I looked at her. And tears finally escaped. That day, I decided. Nobody would ever talk to me like that again. Not when I had power. Not when I became someone they could never break again. After 2 years, I saved enough to rent a tiny room. A bed. A desk. And a dream pinned to the wall. I started an online business. Selling handmade planners and motivational journals. Why journals? Because I wrote in one every night. I wanted to help people like me. People who had been pushed down. Told they were nothing. First week, 3 sales. Second week, 12. Then 47. People liked the products. But more than that, they connected with my story. I didn't hide my scars. I didn't pretend to be perfect. I said, "I'm not healed. I'm healing. And I won't stop." And suddenly, I wasn't alone anymore. I expanded. A website. A small team. Then digital planners, coaching, courses. Partnerships, investments. Within 5 years, I wasn't struggling to survive anymore. I was hiring people. Helping women escape abusive homes. Funding education. I wasn't just building a business. I was building a safe world. The one I never had. And slowly, that scared girl with bruised arms turned into a woman with steel eyes. And a fearless voice. But life has a strange sense of timing. Just when I started shining, a ghost from my past found my light. Success is loud. But healing? Healing whispers. And when you rise quietly, the people who once hurt you, they always hear the silence. One morning, in my glass-walled office, a view of the city I once walked barefoot in, my assistant knocked on the door. She sounded confused. "Ma'am, there's someone asking for you. He says he's your father." My stomach froze. My heartbeat stopped. Like time itself forgot to breathe. I stepped out. And there he was. The man who broke me. Standing small in my empire. His hair was gray. Clothes wrinkled. Eyes hollow. Age hadn't defeated him. Guilt had. He didn't look like a monster anymore. He looked like a consequence. For a second, I felt that old fear crawl up my spine. Then I remembered. I wasn't that girl anymore. I was Myra Carter. CEO. Millionaire. Leader of hundreds. Protector of thousands. He looked at me. Like he was searching for the child he used to control. But she died a long time ago. He whispered. "Myra. I need a job. Times are bad. Your mother left. I have nothing. Nothing." Life had finally given him what he gave me. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. Revenge wasn't anger anymore. It was calm. I sat down in front of him. Not as a daughter. As a judge. And he tried to speak again. "I raised you." I cut him off gently. "No. You didn't raise me. You buried me." And I dug myself back out. Silence hit him harder than any slap ever could. He lowered his head. For the first time, I saw regret in his eyes. Maybe life had punished him enough. Maybe loneliness did what I never could. Make him feel. But I never wanted to destroy him. I wanted something greater. Closure. I looked at him and said slowly. "You will always be a chapter in my story. But you will never be the author." He begged. "Please, just help me." I sighed. "Help? I smiled softly. I did help you. He looked confused. I leaned forward. I didn't become you. That was my victory. Not money. Not power. Becoming someone he could never break. I stood up. You cannot work here. Not because I'm cruel. But because this place is built on love. Discipline, healing. Things you never gave. He tried to speak. But I opened the security door. Goodbye. He stepped out. And the door clicked shut. That sound was freedom. People think revenge is hurting them back. But real revenge is when they realize they never destroyed you. I walked back to my office. But my eyes weren't angry. They were tired. And free. I wasn't that broken girl anymore. I wasn't surviving. I was living. I spent years chasing revenge. But in that moment, I found something better. Peace. If you're listening to my story, maybe you're where I once was. Scared. Alone. Desperate to be seen. Listen to me. Your past is not a prison. It's a blueprint. Pain doesn't break strong people. It builds them. You don't owe your abusers your success. You don't live to prove them wrong. You rise to prove yourself right. I wasn't born powerful. I bled for it. Worked for it. Cried for it. If I can build a life from bruises, you can build yours from whatever you carry. Your story won't end in pain. Unless you stop in the middle. Keep going. One day, the world will clap for the strength you built in silence. My name is Myra. And I didn't just escape hell. I built heaven after it.